TV umpire to director, we have a review. Can you rock and roll it for me, please?
On this episode of Rock and Roll It, we are going to be reviewing the career of one Cheteshwar Pujara, who has just retired from all forms of Indian cricket. We'll be going through his entire career, hopefully with the diligence and sense of duty that he went through each of his innings. And to do that, I've got with me KK, who I believe can remember each and every one of the 525 balls that Pujara played in Ranchi. And I've got also Sid Monga, who coined the, I thought, very nice word, the chasistance, which hasn't quite caught on as much as baseball, but it's equally inventive.
No,
And then,
but I can't take credit for it. It was either Leslie or Nishi on the features desk.
oh, okay. I saw it as the headline of your piece and thought it was
Yeah,
yours.
yeah,
But that's very magnanimous of you to, it's the kind of thing
yeah.
that Pujara would do.
Or it would be rather cheap of me if I stole credit for it.
That's true.
Which he has not, which I think he has been accused of. If some social media meltdown is to be believed, that because Ashwin said that some of the runs that Virat Kohli scored, he owes them to Cheteshwar for seeing off the new ball so that he came in against the old ball, and the Kohli fans were up in arms until Kohli himself tweeted that you made batting easier for me. So uh, there's credit given there, due credit where it was due.
So let me ask about Pujara. He ends his test career with over 100 tests and an average of 43.6. Very simple question. Do the numbers do justice to his career, or is there a bigger story to be told? KK, I know you have strong feelings about this, so you can go ahead.
Okay, so I have like slightly conflicting thoughts on this, which is that look at Virat Kohli's final test average, look at Ajinkya Rahane's test average. Now, all of them have lower averages than you would expect from the quality of players that they are, right? Uh, from the kind of peaks they had, all of them experienced a very concurrent decline in averages and stuff. So, which points to some factors in all of their test matches, which they were playing concurrently, being common to them, and which is true. And it's responsible in a large part for why he ended up with an average of 43 rather than, say, closer to 50, which is, I think, he was a kind of player who in other eras would have averaged close to 50 either side of it.
No, for me, there's a very simple and elegant measure of how you did when I restricted to the matches that you played in. Especially for batters, it's a very good measure. I restricted to the matches you played in, and I restricted to the top six batters. It's a very, very simple, and also at the same time elegant measure for what conditions were prevalent at that time, what kind of bowling was prevalent at that time. So in the matches that Pujara played, there are 103 of them. The overall average of the top six is 35.71. And he ended up with 43.6. That's not a bad job at all. It's you're scoring 8 runs per innings, more than the average specialist batter in both the sides put together, which is not. I won't say it's sensational, because sensational is somebody like Jaiswal, who's right now is at this point, because he's not seen any trough, he's only seen peaks. He's going at about 15, 16 runs more than the average, overall going average in the matches that he's playing in. But 8 for a career of 103 test matches is very solid, very good. Somebody like, not somebody like, stupid term, Virat Kohli averaged 50.33 in the matches that Pujara has played. So that kind of gives you perhaps the potential, the ceiling that might have been possible for Pujara, which he perhaps did not hit. But 43.6 for a number three batsman, the way he played, it's a very, very good board. I mean, I think it's a great career. Some people might have some equivocality about it, but I think he was a great number three because he played in such difficult conditions. The number three before him was on R. Ashwin's show a couple of weeks ago, and he actually brought that point up. Having played as a number three and then having coached in Pujara's era, he clearly saw the difference. That he said earlier it was only important to win a series. You could win it 1-0, 2-1, 3-2. It was only important to win a series, not every test match. So there used to be at least one or two test matches in every series where the batters could fill their boots. They could score a relatively easy 100, and that average would start looking more respectable. For Pujara and Kohli and Rahane, there were hardly such matches at all because A, the pitches were much, much more difficult. B, the attacks have, with sports science improving, sports medicine improving, with training methods improving, there's hardly a let up in the quality of bowling from fast bowlers or spinners. There's those proverbial, final sessions of where the pace would drop by 10, 15 Ks and you could easily score runs. Those sessions do not exist anymore. And the other thing is the teams have also started playing deeper attacks where, it's not like Srinath and nothing or McDermott and then a big drop to Paul Rifle and whoever the third bowler used to be in the 90s. Or Darren Goff, Andy Caddick, and then nobody.
Sorry, I'll just bring in one other because I mentioned that I have slightly like conflicting thoughts
Hmm.
on that final record, right? Which is that when he first burst on the scene, and I think, Monga, you also may have felt this sort of feeling about him, that this is not just a regular like person who is being talked about as he's going to have a good career. I think people spoke about him and he seemed just the way he batted, the kind of scores he was piling on, that this is a really special talent, right? And he showed a lot of evidence of that as well, and a kind of uh, ability to just keep batting and pile on really massive scores, which in the first couple of years of his career you saw. I thought maybe that, that didn't quite translate into the rest of his career, where like, maybe like a few, again, conditions came into it,
Depth of attacks.
depth of attacks came into it for sure. Yeah, so I know why it didn't happen, but still, because I I especially felt that just watching him early on, that this guy is born to bat. This guy
Hmm.
is just born to break a lot of records. So, I feel a
Yeah.
little bit of sadness about that, but I know why it didn't happen.
Yeah, it's two specific places where in a significant number of tests, England and South Africa, where he did average, he averaged below 30 in both places, but going by Siddharth's metric of the average in those places, he is below the average in those places because I think it's about 33 or so in the tests he played. Actually, I was just looking up in India and Australia combined, in the tests that he played, he has an excellent average. He has some 51 plus average, whereas the overall aggregate average there is in the 40s. So it's just those two countries, and maybe we can go into later why specifically those places he didn't have the success that he did in, say, Australia, because he seemed to have the game that was built for all conditions. And I'll also press you guys a little bit later to give me a definitive way that you would define Pujara's career in terms of where you place him among India's recent modern batting greats. Let's start with little easier question though, which is for each of you guys, what is your favorite Pujara innings? Sid, do you have one, or otherwise KK can go
Hmm.
because I know he has one ready.
I-
And I'm
I-
expecting very hipster answers from both of you.
Oh, is it the one where he was booed by the Bangalore crowd for uh, for not walking and then dashing the hopes of Karnataka?
Oh no, that's one of my favorites, but that's not the one I've picked here.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay, so no,
Huh.
firstly, for me, the most obvious one is the Bangalore one against Australia, where India were bowled out on first day on a damp pitch, and then it started to turn. Then there was like one day of better batting conditions where India bowled really well. I remember Ishant Sharma kept India in the game with a very, very economical spell on day two. And then it started doing its tricks when India were batting. And I think India had lost 3 or 4 wickets even before India went to credit. And then he and Rahane gave India a target to bowl at. And it turned out that 180 something was plenty that Pujara and Rahane gave India. Pujara scored 94, I think. Uh, that was one of my favorites.
He
Then,
got 92 of more
92,
than
yeah.
200 balls. So, yeah.
yeah. Then the obvious ones are the Adelaide one, where to 2018, where India won the match again on day one of the series. India were in big trouble, and he saw through that trouble. Then he opened up against the new ball and hit sixes and everything. Uh, so that is the another one. Then Johannesburg was a very very tricky pitch, where India won the test and he didn't score a run for the first 50 balls or something.
First
The
53, yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
common factor in these two innings was that the opposition did not review against Pujara. Maybe they underestimated Pujara's wicket and they did not review. I think he would have been out for zero if he had been if Lungi and Gidi had reviewed against him at Johannesburg, and India would have lost the test for sure. Uh, Adelaide, he was about 70 or 80 when he gloved one and yeah, they didn't review. And true to form, he did not give away poker face. You could not see from him his face whether he had dashed it or not, but it was clear he had. So these three are my favorites. So the Adelaide only because it kind of shocked some of the less observant pundits that he could play in the fifth gear in Adelaide and in Southampton.
Southampton, yeah.
Yeah, they were shocked really. Where are these sixes coming from? But for him, hitting sixes was not difficult, especially on test match fields. It was just that he was assessing his risk and reward very well. So these three, the first three, and then Southampton also comes in.
You've taken everything, Sid. The whole point was that each of us get to talk about one innings.
There are a couple of hipster ones also I have. Before he made his debut for India.
I'll let KK go next.
Yeah, before we go to the hipster ones.
Yeah. You mentioned the six hitting thing, right? So my innings is one where his captain was sitting in the dressing room balcony, and the on TV we actually saw him like seemingly like displeased with the way Pujara was batting, and he's like basically gesturing to say like, what is he doing? Why doesn't he just step out and hit Nathan Lyon for six? Uh, so yeah, sometimes it felt like Pujara had to, prove himself over and over to his own teammates. Yeah, so this is Indore in 2023. I think
Rohit Sharma was the captain, I think.
yeah, Rohit Sharma was the captain, and so this was one of the most spiteful pitches we've had, even in an era of really turning pitches in India. And third innings where India had a fairly big deficit, and he made 59, and nobody else like came in. I mean, there were a couple of 20s, and that was it, right? But the thing is, like, so in this, say, 2021 onwards, whereas away record is actually pretty good, like considering the standard, the conditions and everything, but his home numbers kind of really dipped because everywhere India were going, they were playing on these turning tracks,
Hmm.
and this was like that last uh, innings we got to see of how brilliant Pujara is against spin, right?
Yeah.
That's been true right through his career. You mentioned Bangalore, 2017. There was Delhi in 2013, where both innings he scored 50s, including a fourth innings, 80 odd of like at close to a runner ball. Uh, so he's played all these kinds of innings. So Indore was the last sort of flowering of Pujara's incredible talent against spin. And the thing to observe was how comfortable he looked against Lyon at his absolute best. Lyon in that series in 2023 was bowling as well as he's ever done in India, and firing it like extremely quick, like
Yeah.
he's always been a fairly quick spinner, but I think he went even quicker on that tour and attacking the stumps and like keeping them in play all the time. And there was up and down bounce, a lot of it down rather than up. And so it was like a lottery. And he just looked so comfortable stepping out, you know,
Hmm.
working him with the turn. Yeah, it was just brilliant to watch. And I think, especially it felt very poignant that we'd seen these guys. I think through their careers, I think since we have ball by ball records, I think Pujara versus Lyon is the most uh, I think the most balls in Test cricket
Yeah.
have been between Pujara and Lyon, right?
Yeah.
So this was the last great contest between these two great rivals. So yeah, I look back on it with a lot of fondness.
It's
And sorry, Dustin, he just made a very good point, which I'm sure you also want to touch upon, where he said that sometimes he had to convince his own teammates of his own methods, which I know has been very true. He has had to fight internal battles where there has been pressure on him, uh, like there.
I've saved a portion of the chat for that. I've got some exact quotes from Kohli that I've pulled out about the things that he said about what he
Oh,
wants
no,
from
no, no,
Pujara.
no. Let's
So
not go down that rabbit hole because then it again, without
no, but
taking names.
it's a part of his career because there was a point where he was literally left out of the team for a test because it
Yeah,
was thought that he's not showing enough
yeah,
intent, which is the
yeah,
word that was thrown around a lot. Ashwin's also written in his piece about Pujara on Cricinfo that Vikram Rathore used to be sitting in the dressing room every time, hoping that Pujara would step out and hit a six, just because he knew that he could do it. And Ashwin would always tell
yeah,
him, "Listen, if he does that," I think he said something that his dad won't let him in
yeah,
the house
yeah.
because Pujara's father has taught him that the cricket ball should be as close to your feet as possible after you hit the shot.
So I can kind of see the frustration that some of his teammates might have had. Perhaps it's in you know the frustration that he's not actually maximizing his talent. Perhaps somebody like Rohit Sharma sits there in the dressing room and feels, if I could, if only I had this kind of footwork where I can leave the crease after the bowler has released the ball, and then still get to the pitch of the ball. Imagine how many sixes I would have hit. So that kind of frustration I can see, but Pujara's averseness also, you have to look back at a larger picture where if Rohit Sharma plays a loose shot, and we all know he's played loose shots and got out, uh, he, he can go into the ODI side, into the T20I side. He can go to the IPL, and he still stays relevant. His ODI form still, no matter what anyone says, his ODI form still gets him back into Test cricket because all his Test comebacks, he after he became a fixture in international cricket, none of his Test comebacks happened on the back of a Ranji season. They
Yeah.
happened on the back of great form in international cricket, in other formats of international cricket. So all these other guys who played other formats, it's kind of less. The cost of that risk is less for them. Whereas if somebody like Pujara goes out, he has no way to stay in the consciousness of the selectors and the cricket watching public. And don't tell me the public perception and public pressure does not matter. We all know it does. So for him, that risk means if he gets out playing a loose shot, and then he gets dropped, it could mean a year chopped off his career.
The other thing I wanted to say about his contest with Lyon is that shot that he used to play, the very famous one where he just steps out and then flicks the ball through the on drive. It was not only an effective shot, but I thought a very attractive shot. And
Yeah.
with Pujara, sometimes there's this impression that he was an effective batter, but perhaps not the most stylish. And overall, that's probably true. But he did also have these shots that were quite stylish, and that step out and just flicking Lyon through mid wicket. Sometimes he would even be able to find the gap, even if there was a fielder there. It was a really stylish shot, which, in particular, in that Indore innings and a couple of his other innings, you see against Lyon, you really see his flair as well on display. And so I would pick, because you guys have picked all the main ones, which I didn't expect you to. I was going to pick Adelaide because that's the obvious one, but I'll go for his debut knock, where in the second innings
Yeah.
he got 70 in quick time. One of his most stylish innings, and I at the time I wasn't someone who watched a lot of domestic cricket, so of course I'd heard of Pujara. I knew the runs that he had got, but that was the first time I was probably watching him bat. and he just looked so in control and so stylish actually against spin in the way that he played. And so you could see from that point on, and I think for many years after that, he was probably India's best player of spin, certainly at home. Maybe right up until maybe 2014-15, when Kohli then started to have an incredible record at home against spin. Even in some of the series where India struggled, like the 2012 one against England, Pujara was the one guy who was
Yeah.
showing that Indian batters are still good against spin when there were questions raised about has Indian batting against spin, is it actually in decline? So
In
that was
fact, I
one
would,
innings where, yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think, everyone talks about Peterson's innings in Bombay, and there were three centuries in that test match. There was Peterson, there was Cook. But I think the best innings of that match was Pujara in the first innings against Panesar and Swan at their best.
Hmm.
Whereas, like, I think the India's bowling to Cook and Peterson wasn't of that quality, right? And
Hmm.
the way Pujara played and the certainty he showed in that 135, I think he scored. I think
Hmm.
that's one of his great and sort of under spoken about innings, I guess, because India lost that game. But first innings, day one, I think he set that match up for, if the bowling had been better for India to
Yeah.
probably take a 2-0 lead in that series.
And he was at that point of career where his attitude towards risk would have been different. He was he was not yet dropped from the side. Bangalore, as the Bangalore innings that Dustin was talking about, his debut, he was given the license
Mm.
that you go and bat at three, you try to hit quick, score quick runs. If something happens, there's Rahul Dravid who's going to take care of the chase at from number five or number six. So that point of his career was different, and then came a point of his career where he was dropped, I think, three times in
Sydney,
despite
yeah,
Sydney. Then in Sri Lanka, he did not start.
yeah,
He had to come and open the innings,
yeah.
and then in West
West
Indies,
Indies in St. Lucia.
famously on those slow. West Indies at that time was one of the hardest places to score quickly on.
Yeah.
Outfields were slow, the pitches were slow, there was no bounce. If you were trying to force the pace, you would get out. Whereas otherwise, getting out was difficult. If Pujara had been allowed to be Pujara there, he would have like really scored big runs. But those three drops had a big impact on him. After
And
that, he
Edgbaston as well, 2018.
yeah again
Yes, that's
starting
the
without
third one.
him.
Yeah.
The fourth one,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Sydney, Sri
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Lanka,
Yeah.
West
From
Indies.
Sydney to Sri Lanka was one continuous stretch,
The
basically.
England one was where he
Yeah.
was dropped from the first test, I believe, where he was
Mm.
actually dropped on the basis of county form, where it was his choice to go and play county cricket. Because it was the Joburg test right before that where he got that 50. So he was not dropped
Yeah.
on test form, he was dropped on county form.
It also tells you one thing, whereas he's not started and then failed and been dropped. That is your evidence-based,
Mm.
form-based slash evidence-based selection. These selections in the first test of a series tell you the kind of confidence you have in the guy.
Yeah, and very clearly the players who were brought in. So the one in the West Indies, I think this was after he scored a 46
Rohit
out of
Sharma.
one. And he had scored 46 out of 159 in the drawn test at Kingston, which was only a draw because of the weather. But
Yeah.
I think that was a clear message that look, we want someone who's going to push the scoring rate
Yeah.
because we want to win in the West Indies. And you had a player of the talent of Rohit Sharma to bring in. And again for Edgbaston, it was KL Rahul who batted at number three. So in both cases, you had these players who were very obviously elegant, fast scoring, what you
Yeah.
might say naturally talented players who the team management picked over Pujara. So there was a clear preference for that kind of player in
Hmm.
both instances. They very clearly said they never. Kohli eventually did speak about Pujara's scoring rate much later, but initially, at least, the reasons given were just about the other player that they were bringing in instead. But that
Yeah.
also tells you a little bit about what kind of players the team management valued at that time.
But also to the credit of the team management, they came around after the 2018 tour because in Australia, if you remember, Kohli had a decent. I think he scored his best century in Perth, but Kohli had now come around to actually batting more like Pujara by the end of that year 2018, where he started to trust their own batting much more. And there was a period when Kohli had the similar strike rate to Pujara. So they did, to their credit, they did come around. So and you can never question their intent. They were obviously trying to do what they feel was the best for the team.
Yeah, also you guys are, I mean, this is all leading to our next talking point nicely, which is the kind of batter that Pujara was. I think Harsha Bhogle called him a modern curiosity because in that generation he was one of the few players who was batting in this way of defense first, who was not even making the ODI side. These days it's quite common for test players to not be playing T20 internationals, but usually at least you have two format players who play tests and ODIs. Even Ajinkya Rahane, who later on became a test specialist, had a decent run in the ODI side, whereas Pujara only has literally a handful of ODIs. What do you think KK separated him from the batters of his generation, and is he probably the last of his kind in being that type of batter?
I think there will be batters, around the world, like the amount of first class cricket there is. There will be batters who come up because they have certain skill sets, right? They might have brilliant defense and, this sort of ability to focus and, make that right defensive choice, a ball after ball, and just keep going. But whether those kind of batters are going to, like, funnel down the system and keep, going to the next level and then to the next level and then be the same player by the time they reach international cricket. It's even at the time he came in, he was, unique, Pujara.
It might happen, you never know, but it will be very, very unlikely that somebody who comes in, makes it at international level, and is defensive minded first, and then whose methodology is to see off difficult periods and then cash in. Nowadays, very few batters prefer to see off difficult periods. Even the greats like Joe Root and Steve Smith and Virat Kohli tried to hit their shots during uh, when the bowling was tough, when the pitches were tough, instead of just seeing off that period, relying on the change
Okay, sir,
bowler to.
I think somebody has like just
Joined the chat.
dropped into our chat. What is the word for it? Zoom bombing.
Let's not pretend to be surprised. We
Did
did
any
set
of
it
you
up.
know? Hi,
Hi,
Puji, how are you
Cheteshwar.
doing?
Hello, hi. Good morning,
Oh,
everyone.
oh,
Hi,
so
hi.
I don't need you to introduce to Dustin then. I think he knows you and you
Yeah.
know him. Karthik, do you know him? He's still abusing you for not walking in that
Wait,
match against
no, I'm praising
against
him for that.
Karnataka.
I'm praising him for that.
Do you remember that match?
I'm
The
no
Yeah, I
ODI
do.
match?
Karnataka fan, huh?
I
Yeah.
clearly remember that game because
And and knowing you, I think you must be extra proud of that achievement where the crowd tried to get into your head and you did not.
I also mentioned about this to Rahul Bhai when we were with the Indian team. I told that Saurashtra again beat Karnataka. Because when he
Yeah.
was when he was playing Ranji Trophy for Karnataka, I remember 2010, 11 something. We played a quarter final at CCI, and we ended up beating Karnataka then. So I was just telling him, Rahul, but it's still the same story with Karnataka.
Puji,
Oh, that at that time Kotak Bhai also would have been playing, no?
Yeah, he was playing that.
Hmm.
just for context, Puji, KK wrote about a piece about that innings against Karnataka, and he says that you nicked one and didn't walk, and the crowd was then
Yeah,
chanting at
let's
you.
at least let us put him on the stand. Did you
Yeah.
did you nick it?
Yeah, I did.
I think one in each innings, right?
Yeah, one in each
Once
inning.
in each innings, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was there just for the fifth day, and it was just a very, very like engrossing contest to watch between you and Vinay Kumar, where I
Yeah.
think Vinay Kumar was kind of visibly upset as well, and the way he celebrated after getting Sheldon Jackson's wicket.
Yeah.
And then there was one over where he beat you a couple of times. So it was just a brilliant like spectacle to watch.
Yeah.
What are your memories of, that innings and the final day and all of that?
It It was a great game of cricket because it was firstly we were playing on a pitch which had something in it for the bowlers. So it was a good contest between bat and ball. But at the same time, when you see through the new ball, once the ball got a little older, the pitch settled down. So it was still a good pitch to bat on. But you had to really work hard to score runs. It wasn't a normal Chinnaswamy track where you can easily score as many runs as possible. So 300, 350 was supposed to be a decent total on that pitch. So I do remember that early on we had to work hard to survive important spells. Someone like when I was there, then Mithun was also there. And they had a good bowling lineup. And I remember that I had a good partnership with Sheldon Jackson in particular game. And yeah, I mean, we were chasing a total of more than 300 in the last innings, which was a tough one, but eventually we got that success and we won the game. So it was a proud moment for all the players.
Staying with Bangalore, Cheteshwar, the 2017, 16-17 great knock in first innings, you were bowled out in first day, and then on the second innings, you scored 92 and won India run out. And you always told me, I will not give away my secrets, what changes I made. But now that you have retired, you said that Anil Bhai had worked with you on something between the first innings and second innings to
Yeah.
counter Lyon. What was that? Now you can tell us.
Yeah, I can look at that time. Nathan Lyon was bowling really well in the rough cordon. He was his strength was to exploit that rough because on day one it was slightly a damp pitch, and because of the foot marks, uh, he was getting a lot of assistance from outside the off stump, and I used to
Hmm.
stand on leg stump at that time. So Anil Bhai, I told Anil Bhai that he's bowling outside off stump in the rough, and I'm finding it slightly difficult. I don't know whether I can play a cover drive because it will create a gap between bat and pad. So I told him that, what are your thoughts? How can I tackle him? And he asked me that, can you move on to middle and off stump? And I told him, Anil Bhai, suddenly, like I've so many years I've been standing on leg stump, and then suddenly in a test match, if I have to go and stand on middle and off stump or off stump, because he was telling that if you can stand on off stump, that'll be brilliant. But if not, then try going on middle and off stump. And then we were having this conversation that can I straight away do this in the game? And he told me that if you want, at the end of day's play, we can go to the nets. You can try it out yourself, and then see how it feels and how it works for you. And at the end of day's play, I remember I think we were fielding on that day, and then as soon as the
Yeah.
fielding was over, I went to the NCA ground, the smaller net area, and we had some throwdown guys along with us, and I stood on the middle and off. I also tried standing on the off stump, and then the throwdown guys used to bowl in that rough area, and then I started playing my shots. Anil Bhai also told me that if you can play one odd sweep shot in between, that will also help. So I also practiced some sweep shots along with that. And
Hmm.
in the game, I straight away moved to middle and off stump. I tackled Nathan Lyon really well. In between, I did play that sweep shot as well. And since then, I've been standing on that middle off stump guard, and I mean things have changed drastically since then. Also, he told me a few things about my stance in that particular game, and I've changed my stance particularly for Nathan Lyon, which has helped me immensely.
I think you opened it up a little bit, no?
Yeah, just a little bit, tiny
Yeah.
bit.
Hmm.
Yeah,
We
on
were
the
sorry, we were just talking. Just staying with Bangalore. We also talked about your debut innings in Bangalore, where you
Yeah.
were a completely different batter. You were, scoring much more quickly. You were taking a few more risks. Uh, when we have all three of us have been curious, did the injury and the operation and coming back after that, did that have any impact on the way you batted and the amount of risks you took when you batted?
I don't think so. I thought from 2014 onwards, when we toured to England for the first time, all the batters had a tough time. Even after
Hmm.
that, in 2015 in Australia, we had a tough time. So since then, I've been little cautious, and I thought that I had to put a price on my wicket. Also, when you start scoring big runs in India, because in 2010 I started really well. That even after the injury, I made a strong comeback. And in 2012 and 2013, I was having a great time in India because I got a couple of double hundreds. One was against England, one was against Australia as well. So during those times, I was batting aggressively, I was batting positively. But I think those overseas tours, that's where I thought that because I wasn't scoring runs, I had to work really hard. And I thought that if I'm a little more cautious, then it'll give me a lot of success. But eventually, actually, when Anil Bhai came into the Indian team, that's when he told me that the best way to not counter attack, but best way to tackle a good bowling is to uh, play positively, not in a way where you are taking risk, but you are putting some pressure on the bowler as well, because you don't allow the bowler to keep bowling in that channel. And that's when again that shift happened. And I started playing aggressively since 2016, 2017. So if you look at that, those 2, 3 years since 2016 to 2018, I was again playing positively. But you also assess the condition and then try and bat accordingly. Because when you're going to Australia, I remember that Adelaide innings where I had to work really hard in the first innings to get through that first couple of hours or first 3 hours in that session. And then I started playing my shots. So you still assess the condition and then bat accordingly.
There also you edged and didn't walk.
I actually, honestly, that one I also didn't know that I nicked because there was a noise. Everyone, if you look at the
They
bowler's
didn't review
reaction,
also.
he didn't review, he didn't realize that there was a nick. None of the fielders realized that there was a nick. I heard something, so I thought there was something, but sometimes because of the handle, you feel that some noise comes. So I honestly, on that occasion, I also didn't know that I nicked that ball.
So see, I had
Dustin,
one
you.
question. I was telling Siddharth and KK that I was going through our ball by ball descriptions of all the sixes you hit in Test cricket. There are around 16 of them, and
Yeah.
only one of them I found where you actually stepped out and hit a spinner for six of Nathan Lyon. Almost everything else was short balls, long hops, or full tosses. Was there any other time in your career you remember that you actually stepped out with the intention to hit a six, or was that something that you just restrained yourself that you will not do?
Yeah, at the international level, I restrain myself. But if you look at my first class runs, if you look at the number of sixes I've hit in domestic cricket, many of those will be stepping out and hitting the spinners over the top. Even in list A cricket or T20 format, I've done that again and again. But at the highest level, in the test format, I thought that I was more than capable enough of playing down the ground and not taking that risky option. Because even without that, I was having a lot of success. And I thought that there was no need to do that unless someone was bowling really well and you're getting stuck. But which didn't happen very often because for me, because I was using the feet, I was unsettling the spinners anyways. So I was getting enough loose balls in between to score runs down the ground. So I thought that that was giving me a lot of consistency and success was on the higher side when I wasn't playing the lofted shots in the test format.
So that one six you hit, what made you hit that off Lyon at Indore? What made you suddenly decide this is the ball I'm going to do it?
That was a different pitch altogether. It was doing a lot, and at one point I thought that he was keeping the fielders up. Even the mid wicket was up, mid on was up. So I wasn't getting even my singles which I wanted, and I thought it was worth taking the risk because we thought that on that particular pitch, if we can have a decent total on the board, we can still get the Aussies out. But which unfortunately didn't happen. I got out playing a flick shot, and Steve Smith took a brilliant catch at leg slip. But yeah, before that, I was batting really well, and I thought that I can play that lofted shots. And if I had carried on batting for some more time, I might have played another one or two lofted shots on that pitch.
I think he even went over the wicket just before that, just for that over, right? And was that one of the triggers also that said, okay, now I can take on that shot?
Yeah, and when Nathan Lyon goes over the stumps, most of his deliveries drifts into the right-handers. So at that time, I knew that the ball is going to come into me. When he bowls round the stumps, it's slightly a different angle. So when he's bowling around the stumps, it's slightly a riskier option because the angle of the ball is taking away from the right-handers. Although he doesn't drift the ball away from the right-handers, but still from around the stumps, it was slightly a riskier option.
So he's both in drift and in turn.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Hmm.
how Nathan Lyon bowls. Yeah.
Does
Occasionally
that
he gets the ball to uh, drift away from the right-handers, but very occasionally. It
Hmm.
doesn't drift a lot.
Hmm. You were infamous at not conceding any argument. Ashwin has famously has written about it that you will
Yeah,
never concede any, and we have had this conversation many times. And
yeah,
I'm actually with you most of the times on this, but sometimes the argument that is made is in today's on pitches that we see today,
yeah,
and against attacks which have like three or four very good fast bowlers, you are never going to get an easy period of batting. Bowlers are not going to tire because there are four of them. The pitch is not going to ease out. And
yeah.
so there's a case made for you to counter attack. That if you don't counter attack, the game has not moved here. The next batter has also not benefited from your 15 of 90 balls or something like that. Because the score is still 50 for one or 60 for two. So do you still believe that your method is still the best method where you will still get that easier phase of play?
It depends on where you are playing. So the kind of pitches we are playing on in India, if I had to correct something, I thought I would try and correct my approach because on those rank turners where the total is somewhere close to 200, 250, where to get to 50 is also a remarkable achievement. Forget about getting 100 because on those pitches you can't score 100. None of the
Hmm.
batters ends up scoring
Hmm.
100. So on those sort of pitches, I agree that one has to play positively. So if I had to go back in time and if I could correct that, I might end up playing few more shots. It doesn't need just to be aerial shots. It can be sweep, reverse sweep, but whatever manner you can put some pressure on the bowler and try and capitalize on loose deliveries as much as possible. But in overseas conditions, I still feel that there is value for batting time because
Hmm.
new ball is the time where the ball does a lot. After that, if you look at the current English conditions, things have changed. Even over there, the new ball does a bit, but after that, pitch settles down. Even if you look at Australia, the new ball will seem around. There'll be enough pace and bounce, but once the ball gets older, even if they have five or six quality bowlers, you still can capitalize and start scoring runs later on once the ball gets old. And same applies in South Africa and New Zealand as well. So I think in Sena conditions, you still need to bat time, but that has to be your strength because if you look at the modern era batsmen, the batters who are coming in from T20 and one day format into the Test squad, their strength
Hmm.
is to play aggressively, play their natural game, and play some shots. So they don't need to follow that. They just need to stick to their strength. But for
Hmm.
someone like me, I think I'll still be successful if I do that.
So Sydney Test, the one that you drew, first
Yeah.
innings, you got a lot of flack on that day three for your innings where the scoreboard didn't move and then there was a run out and a couple of wickets fell and the score hadn't moved. How did you know, how did you see it? Did you feel that you had done something wrong? Did you feel you had played an innings that was not optimal before between first and second innings on those days? Did you feel that way?
I don't think so. Also, one has to understand that series was happening during the COVID times. And if you look at all the batters, we didn't have the best of preparation before the series started. Even
Hmm.
before that, we didn't play a lot of cricket. So to come in Australian conditions and to find your rhythm was very challenging. Not just for me, but I was having a chat with some of the other batters also. It was
Hmm.
difficult because we didn't have a lot of match practice. We didn't have enough time in the nets. Yes, we had
Hmm.
some preparation, but I still felt that it wasn't enough. We were not moving out of our room apart from our practice sessions. So you are physically you are not at your best. And if you're not at your best, how can you contribute to the team success is by spending as much time at the crease.
Hmm.
Because if you are spending enough time at the crease, you find your rhythm, you find your form which you are looking for. And exactly that is what happened. If you look at my innings in the same test match, the second innings when I
Second
got an
innings, yeah.
opportunity to bat, I was batting really well. Also, the same thing followed at Gaba, where on a tough pitch I had to bat, but I could survive that because I had batted enough number of deliveries in the game. So you always look at the larger picture. I think if you are helping the team to not lose a game, that is also, I think, a good achievement, I would say. Because if we had lost that Sydney Test match, I don't think we were in that. Would have ended up winning that series.
But how difficult was it to just be the kind of batter you are despite all the talk around you?
Well, sometimes you just try and shut the outside noise. You need to ask yourself one question. When you are walking out there in the middle, what's your
Hmm.
job? Is to try and win a game for Indian team. If you can't win a game, if you are not in a position to not win a game, then try and draw the game. And when I'm walking out there in the middle, I know that I'm doing my best job. Honestly, whatever is best for the team, I'm doing that. So whatever the outside noise is, you just need to cut that down, because you in your heart, you know that you are doing your best for the country. And if someone else is saying something, whether it's within the team or outside, you don't need to pay too much attention, because in your heart you are going with the pure intention of winning a game for the country.
Even the noise within the team,
Yeah,
you can
because
shut out.
yeah, I mean, it's not easy to shut out. I wouldn't say that it's easy when you are just walking out there. Whatever is being said about you, you can ignore that completely. But you need to find a way. You need to find a
Hmm.
way to be focused on the larger picture, because ultimately, when you win a series, everyone starts praising, and that's you need to foresee that. How do you win a
Hmm.
series? How do you win a test match? And to achieve that, I always knew that if I carry on batting in a certain way, I'll help the team. I'll help the team win a test match or win a test series.
Puji, I wanted to
Yes.
ask you about your mental processes, because you played some really long innings. I was just seeing some of the Ranchi knock 525. We've heard of batters sometimes during these innings singing to themselves at the crease or doing something to, because you have to at one point pull out right between balls. You have to find something else to focus on and then refocus. What were
Yeah.
your processes like between balls and then as you prepare for the ball?
Uh, when I was playing at a scenic venue, I always used to find a spot at the stadium, a beautiful spot if I can manage. Some of the stadiums are completely packed, so I always used to oversee if there was any construction, there was any building. I'll just try and look at what is happening in that building if I can manage to do that, just to try and distract myself between the balls. That I used to do that mainly when I was at the non-strikers end. When I was at the strikers end, I'll just look around the field. Also try and I had this habit of tapping on the pitch. So I used to walk around the pitch to tap and see some of the spots on the pitch. Many times people thought that when you're playing in overseas conditions, you don't need to tap on the crease. I mean, wherever the ball was pitched, because it's not going to turn. And I did agree, but I had this routine and I kept doing it just to switch off myself, also to understand where the ball is pitching, and if there is any if there are any dents on the pitch, which I can by tapping, if I can correct that. So all the things which I did between the balls, it happened subconsciously. I never had to make an extra effort, because when you have this experience of playing a lot of first class games, you develop a routine between the balls. So it happens subconsciously, and I never had to pay any attention. There are times where I had to just tell myself that I want to be in present. I don't want to think about what has happened in the last ball and what is going to happen in the next ball. So just to be in present, sometimes I used to focus on one particular thing, just by staying quiet, keeping my mind very quiet, and not worry about what's going to happen, what has happened in the past or what's going to happen next.
And
Sometimes,
off
sometimes
the
I,
field, did you do anything to work? Because you had such focus. I was just telling Sid and
Yeah.
KK, I noticed during that 92 in Bangalore, you were so focused even after sometimes the ball hit your pad when it had really turned or it was inside edge onto pad. You were reacting immediately to make sure the ball is not going to roll on to your stumps, because it was that kind of pitch where that kind of thing can happen. Did you do anything away from the game in terms of mental exercises, meditation, concentration exercises?
Yes, I did. I did yoga and breathing exercises in my routine, whether I was playing cricket or not. That has become a part of my routine, which has helped me immensely develop my concentration, to stay calm under pressure. Also, I do prayers every day. Uh, that also helps me to be in present and focus on something rather than having too many thoughts. So this particular routine of doing yoga and breathing exercises and doing my prayers has helped me immensely in my cricketing journey. But that has been part of my routine, and I never did that to achieve success in cricket. That has actually helped me as a human being, help me deal with adverse situations on the field and even off the field as well. So yeah, I mean that has been part of my routine, but that has I won't deny that it hasn't helped me. In my cricketing journey, because I would say that it has helped me immensely in my cricketing journey.
It must have particularly helped when you're on the non-strikers end and Rishabh Pant is batting, right? To be in that calm playbook. You were mentioning that that you were looking for things to look at when you're on the non-strikers end. I was just thinking, was that dependent also on who's batting?
No, I think it was more of an entertainment when Rishabh was at the strikers end, and if I'm at the non-strikers end, I know that there'll be some action, and it wasn't just me. I mean, for me, I knew that Rishabh bats in a certain way, but I could see a lot of pressure on the opposition team, which made my life easier when I was getting on strike, because the opposition team's focus was Rishabh Pant. How can they restrict him if he started playing shots? How can they stop him from getting those fours and sixes? They started spreading the field. So Rishabh is very smart. He will try and take a single. What it does is, when I get on strike, the bowler is not actually looking to get me out. He's just trying to ensure that he's bowling in a particular length, and not conceding any more runs. And eventually what happens is his accuracy of their line and length also changes, because it was left and right hand combination. So that's why I thought that it made my life a lot easier when I am batting with someone like Rishabh Pant. Also, I remember in when I made my debut in 2010, Virupaji used to bat, Virendra Sehwag. He used to open the innings, and when I used to walk in at number three, it made my job very easy, because when I had partnership with Virupaji, he used to take on the bowlers. He used to play so many shots. So the opposition is always under pressure. And when I got the strike, I thought that it's batting is so easy. In the sense, I didn't score too many runs, but the mindset of the opposition team changes completely.
Did Rishabh also benefit from batting with you? Because I really enjoyed watching both of you bat together.
I'm sure he would have, because there was calmness at the crease. He knew that there is someone at the other end who is not going to get out. He's not going anywhere. And we used to speak about it that he used to tell me in Hindi that Puji bhai, आप तो आउट होने वाले नहीं है, जो करना है वो मुझे ही करना है. तो ये पार्टनरशिप तो अगर अगर मेरे रन बन गए तो हमारी पार्टनरशिप बड़ी होने वाली है. So yeah, we used to joke about it, but at the same time, yeah, it was fun to bat along with him. And the opposition team sensed something whenever we had this partnership. They sensed something that if this partnership gets going, then they will be in trouble, because Rishabh scores quickly. But at the same time, when I'm at the non-striker, whenever I get opportunity to score runs, or if I'm at the crease, then they are not able to get the breakthrough. They are not going to break this partnership quickly.
KK, you
Uh,
were asking something.
Yeah, yeah. So from the outside, we were speaking about this ability you have to focus and your routines and all of that. From the outside, it sometimes looked like you almost entered one trance-like state, where you're completely like, there's the ball and there is you and nothing else.
Yeah.
Were there times in your career where, say, your partner at the crease or somebody said something to you and you didn't even like hear it or register, or you were so in that zone, so to say?
Yeah, it does happen, because when you're in that zone, when you're just completely focusing on the ball and not worrying about what's happening around you, then sometimes it happened very often when I was at the striker's end. Because when you're at the striker's end, there'll be a batter who will be at the non-striker's end, who will walk into you and say that he tried bowling an in-swinger, but it didn't swing in, but it just nipped away. There'll be some feedback from the non-strikers end, and you just nod your head, and then and don't react to it. But whenever that has happened, actually, what I'll do is at the end of the over, I'll go and speak to my partner that sorry, I was actually in my zone, so I actually didn't want any feedback, or I didn't even if you said something, I didn't want to hear that too much. But if you can tell me now what you have observed, because when you are facing I mean, when you are at the strikers and the bowler is bowling that over, in between the balls is the time where I felt that if it was very important feedback, I didn't mind. But if it wasn't very important, then I always used to avoid that feedback because it can play around in your mind. So I always needed some feedback at the end of the over, and that's when I used to have a chat with the partner.
So did you have
Ashwin, sorry.
sorry, did you have particular partners with whom you established, like say Murli Vijay, you had a lot of really big partnerships with him.
Yeah.
So did it work differently with different partners, or were there partners who really brought out, who knew exactly when to say what they needed to say?
Yeah, it happens over a period of time, because with Murli Vijay, he was also the same. He didn't want a lot of feedback when the over was going on. So I always used to give him any feedback at the end of the over. With someone like Rishabh, he always wants feedback in each and every ball. So if I'm at the non-strikers end, I don't mind. I don't mind talking. I don't mind giving any feedback where the line was, where the length was, because I don't need to concentrate much. So you understand your partner and then try and communicate with them depending on what they want to know.
Did you ever bat without a helmet? Just the cap? Not in Test cricket.
Not in Test cricket. I think I might have done it once, but not against seamers, just against spinners. I might have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Against spinners also, I don't remember. I just remember there's like always this great focus,
Most of the
great
times, yes.
process.
Most of the times, yes, I have batted with the helmet on. I don't remember. I've definitely done that in first class cricket. I can't remember if I've done that in Test cricket.
Ashwin once mentioned to me that you are too stubborn, and he always wanted you to expand your game to become more, maybe play more T20 leagues somewhere, come to Chennai and play league cricket, and try to at least explore. But you always wanted to preserve what you had. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, someone like me always didn't have too many options. If I had to continue playing Test cricket, I wanted my entire focus to be there for Test cricket, and I didn't want to shift my focus from Test cricket into say T20 leagues or T20 format. I did that early in my career, where I tried my best. If I got an opportunity to be part of the IPL or the T20 or the ODI cricket, then I was more than happy to do so. But in last 5 6 years, I knew that I'll just have to carry on playing Test cricket. I won't get an opportunity to play white ball cricket, so I didn't want to shift my focus. I didn't want to change my game just for white ball cricket, because if I change my game, then it might have some impact on my Test cricket, and I didn't want to sacrifice that. For me, the priority was Test cricket, and I stuck to that.
So even in the nets, was there never a point where you say practice some range hitting or even reverse swoop, or was these shots that even just for fun you didn't play in the nets?
No, I did actually, but that was just before any T20 tournaments for Saurashtra, or when I played white ball cricket for Sussex. I tried playing those shots. So I have done that. It's not that I haven't done it, but it was just purely for T20 or the ODI preparation. I never did that for Test cricket, because whenever I was practicing for Test cricket, I never tried playing too many shots. Maybe against spinners, I did. There was a time where I was working on it. So against spinners, yes, I've done that even for test match preparation, because when we were playing on rank turners, I wanted to explore that possibility. And we were talking about hitting that six against Nathan Lyon. But before that, I had done a lot of preparation, and I was confident for that.
Was that the series where Ashwin said he would shave half his mustache if you hit a six?
Yeah, I think that was the series where he said
I
that.
think, yeah,
But
that was your
he didn't follow through.
102nd.
He didn't do it, right?
He didn't do it. No, he didn't. You
Have
will
you
have to
Did you
ask
take
him.
up
You
on
will
it?
have to.
did you ever go and ask him like, hey, like you said you'd do it, you haven't?
No, Ravi Bhai did tell him that you were
Hmm.
saying this. Why don't you do it now? And he didn't have
But
any answer actually. He came up with another theory that he said that it was if it was the first test match or the second test match, I don't know.
You can't change the rules like that.
Yeah, that's true.
tell me about this funny conversation you and Vijay had. There was an argument about something where you could not. Vijay was like, he was adamant about something, but he could not convince you on that. Or was it always between you two? There used to be
No,
arguments.
no. So this conversation wasn't between me and Vijay. This was between Vijay and Shikhar Dhawan. I ended up being part of it because all of us were sitting in the balcony. I think we were watching the game. I can't remember
Okay.
which game it was, but they were discussing something about swing and seam of the pitch. And then both of them were asking me, "What are your thoughts?" Vijay is saying this, Shikhar is saying this. What are your thoughts? And then I started giving my inputs. Then it became it became a big argument between Shikhar and Vijay. Then someone else, I think, I think it was Ashwin who also stepped in, and then I moved away from that conversation. But that conversation would have lasted almost a session, 1.5, 2 hours of argument between Vijay and Shikhar. And at the end of conversation, none of them came to any conclusion, and it was still left open.
Earlier we were discussing your best innings. We have named all the usual suspects from Bangalore to Adelaide to Southampton to Brisbane. What is your favorite innings that you played?
For me, one is 145 not out at Sri Lanka in
Colombo.
2015, Colombo. Yeah. Then second is 92 at Bangalore, 91 or 92. I can't remember the exact number. Then
Hmm.
123 at Adelaide. First test match of the series 2018. Also
Yeah.
56 at Gabba 2021. Apart from that, I have to say my debut game 72 in the second innings. That is also one of my favorites. And my first 100 in overseas conditions, that was in South Africa,
Johannesburg, yeah.
Joburg. Yeah. Also, I mean, I can't say that it was one of my favorite innings, but at the same time, when you score a double hundred, you always feel proud. So, yeah, my first double hundred, because when I got engaged, the entire family, my wife, my in-laws, everyone came to watch that game, and I ended up scoring a double hundred. So, the first impression, I had to make a mark, and that's why I'm really proud of it.
This was Motera, right?
Yeah, it was at Motera. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the
So
ground was called Motera.
did you get extra wedding gifts after that innings, or was the wedding gift part already done?
No, I was just engaged. So
Oh
wedding was
wow.
bit later, after say
Ah.
6 to 8 months. Uh, but yeah, I got a lot of praise for that. I got a lot of appreciation on also the newspaper, and everything was because it was an important series. There was a lot of limelight around that series, and everyone, yeah, started praising.
So, like,
I also found a
yeah,
couple. Sorry. Yeah, please.
sorry. I think that series was a kind of like beginning of this whole debate over like because after that match, India won that match, but I think MS Dhoni said no, we want pitches where it starts turning much earlier, and
Yeah.
since then, in various ways, it has gone this way, it has gone that way. Sometimes we've had pitches where first innings it's been, good for batting, then it turns, or like we've had like rank turners, and then WTC has come in and changed that equation as well. You know, uh, from your perspective, how
Yeah.
did that impact your game? And also, like, what are your opinions on like the kind of pitches that in India we have for test matches?
Well, lately, I would say last 3 to 5 years, we have been playing on some rank turners, which is slightly challenging for Test cricket. I would say because if the ball turns from ball one, and if it's a rank turner where to get a 50 is a big achievement, and as a batter, you just have to forget about scoring 100 on those pitches. So your skill is taken out of the game. You rely on luck to score runs. One is you also need to be very positive to score runs. If you are not positive, you will get out because every ball is doing something. So the skill of a bowler, even if the less skilled bowler from the
Exactly.
opposition team, becomes very, very effective. And that's why I feel that we shouldn't be playing on such pitches where the ball turns a lot. We should be playing
Hmm.
on a turner. I'm not denying that we should be playing on a flat pitch. I'm not saying that we should be playing on a flat pitch. I'm saying that we should be playing on a turners. But if you look at Indian Test cricket historically, we have been playing on good pitches where the pitch is good to bat on in the first innings, but in India, eventually the ball starts to turn. So the second inning becomes very important. And on a normal turner, where the ball turns a bit on day one, I think our bowlers are skilled enough to pick up 10 wickets in a day. Yeah, they might score 350 or even 400, but our batters are more than capable enough of scoring 550, 600. Look at the way England is playing now in England. They are playing on good pitches where the opposition scores 400, they are backing themselves to score 550, 600 and still win a game. And
Hmm.
Indian Test history has been like that. We play on good pitches where the ball starts to turn later on. If there is not much turn in the first innings, that's fine. Our bowlers and our seamers are also skilled enough to take those 10 wickets. And eventually in a 5 test match series, you might see one draw, which is still fine. I feel that rather than losing too many test matches, if you lose a test match, you are not gaining anything. So you might expect one odd draw in between where you don't get a result. But I still feel that is better than losing too many games and trying to play on rank turners where the skill of a bowler or a batter is taken out of the game.
And we
Yeah,
were
you
dis
kind of you neutralize Ashwin and Jadeja by giving these kind of pitches where Hartley and all these spinners, Shoaib Bashir, become unplayable.
Yeah, and even Glenn Phillips, I can give
Yeah,
his
yeah.
example. Recently, when India played New Zealand, he was one of their best bowler in that test series, and he's actually a batter who can bowl a bit. And
Hmm,
he seemed to be like an unplayable bowler on those sort of pitches.
hmm.
And do you feel,
Uh,
because we were discussing this also, your overall record, because the generation previous to you of Indian batters, they all had 50 plus averages. But your generation, most of the batters, including yourself, Kohli, Rahane, it's more in the 40s. So that also needs to be contextualized by the pitches, right? And putting that in context, would you say that overall then you're still very happy with your average, knowing the pitches that you played on?
Yeah, because if you look at last 5 years of my Test cricket, so from 2023, I haven't played for the Indian team. But if you look at 5 years before that, since the COVID times, we were playing on such a challenging pitch. And before that, if you look at every batsman's average, someone like Virat, myself, Ajinkya, whoever was part of that Indian Test squad, we were averaging close to 50, sometimes little more than 50. And if you look at last 5 years, all the batters' average has dropped down immensely. If you look at the last, I mean, not this WTC cycle, but before that, last couple of WTC cycles, most of the batters are averaging somewhere around 30, which indicates that we are playing on challenging pitches. One is, you always, when you go away from home, you end up playing on challenging pitches anyways. So when you are playing in India, you need to ensure that you play on a good track. I'm not saying that should be a flat track where everyone is scoring hundreds for fun, but the if you are skilled enough as a batter, you should be able to score a hundred on that pitch.
Has that ever
Hmm.
affected, say, your preparation or your own, confidence as a batter? Because obviously you believe, you trust your methods, you trust your game. But how difficult is it? Sometimes you're just like, okay, I didn't score runs in this series, but that's not my fault. Versus like being able to say, okay, maybe there is some technical issue or something. How did that, affect the way you prepare and the way you think about your game?
No, I think as a player, you are confident enough. You know that you're doing your best, and these are challenging pitches. But the people around you, the perception that, see, now people have started realizing that India was playing on a ranked turners, but this is too late, because when we were playing on those pitches, when you have a failure, it was considered as a failure. And not many people spoke about that because India was playing on a rank turn, or the average of all the players are dropping down. So at that time, the perception around you is built in a such a way where you are put under pressure as a batter, and you even if you don't score 100 for say the entire series, no one will say that because we are playing on rank turners, it's difficult to score 100. If you have scored as 50, 60, that will be appreciated, but it won't be appreciated as a 100. So there is a pressure on you as a batter to score 100. And after home series, you travel abroad, and even if it's a two test match series and you end up playing two test matches on a seaming track, even there the possibility of scoring 100 is very, very less. In the both the test matches, I think there might be just one odd 100 someone would have scored. So if you don't score 100, you are put under pressure, and that's where I felt that that needs to be changed. But going forward, I think things will change. This is about the past, but yeah, it did put a lot of pressure on the batters.
And
I always feel this 100 celebration should be banned.
Why is that?
Because we just make so much about hundreds. What's the difference between 98 and 100? It's just then the, and we saw what happened at Lords, and it just turned around the whole game uh,
Yeah.
between Rahul and Rishabh. So let's not focus on it. Between, at least in the dressing room, there should not be any talk about he scored 100, he scored 100.
So then
Whatever
when
is the
should batters celebrate according to you? Only after
but
the innings.
but the
randomly,
thing is,
like Rishabh randomly plays a shot, you should randomly celebrate.
no, but the thing is, then it has to be taken out of the stats as well. How many number of
Yeah, yeah,
hundreds
yeah.
he scored?
Absolutely. That focus has to be taken out. Stats should be more about average and the number of runs we score, not the number of hundreds we score.
Yeah, then it's fine. But if you are
Yeah,
focusing on
yeah,
the
yeah.
say the
I
yeah
media is to blame equally because media
yeah
makes a big deal out of hundreds, and
yeah.
we also like decide to write a piece about somebody. If he gets out for 93, we then change the piece. We should know.
Yeah, Puji, Siddharth is saying all this, but when Washi and Jadeja batted on for their hundreds, he was the first person to be saying yes, they should do it.
Oh no, that though I was saying that they should not have stopped only. Why did they stop after 100? They should have batted till the end. I'm sure Cheteshwar would have batted till the end if he was given the choice.
Well, if we are given a choice, yes, of course you want to score that 100 because you have worked so hard. I feel for Ravindra and Washington, and I'm happy that they both of them got uh,
Yeah,
got to
absolutely.
score 100 because till 80 they were working so hard to ensure that
Yeah.
we get a draw out of that game. So then they had earned the right to get to their 100.
Hmm. A couple of hipster picks also I had for your best innings. These are before your test debut. One was against West Indies A at I think it was Bridgetown, the 96 not out to win the match.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I remember that innings. That is one of my favorite ones, but because it wasn't an international game, but that is one of my best first class innings because Indian team, I mean the A team, had lost 7 or 8 wickets, and then I had a
95
partnership.
for 7.
Yeah, and I had a partnership with Shami at the other end, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
Yeah. Shami also 27 of 60 and you were 96 of 222. So that was not like a counter attack, nothing.
yeah,
And I think this pitch was a pitch where, Jason Holder is getting 5, Rohit Sharma is getting 4. So there was something for every kind of bowler there.
yeah, yeah. It was a tough pitch because the ball was staying low, odd one was jumping, and we were chasing 200 odd.
188,
188,
186.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we were 94, 7 or 8.
Yeah, 85, 95 for 7.
95 for 7. So we almost lost the game and then came back into the game.
And then that one at Roshanara, where
One,
you and Jovan
140,
Putra and Manyar,
yeah,
drew the match.
through the game. That was 148 not out. I remember because
Yeah.
at lunch we were 90 for 6 or 7. And then we had to bat 2 sessions to get a draw.
Hmm.
Lunchtime, everyone was talking about now this game is going to get over. What do we do? Even within the dressing room, the coach, captain was actually shouting at everyone that we are losing this game. You didn't bat well, whatever. I mean, there were a lot of things which were going on. And then I was actually about to bat, and no one was telling that no, we can ensure a draw. But in my thought, I had this I don't know, gut feeling that I was talking to Joban Putra then that Jolly Bhai, can you at least make sure that if I'll give you just couple of deliveries whenever you get on strike. So
Hmm.
I'll not make you play too many deliveries, but let's try and build a partnership because I'm batting well. So I will not, you will not be troubled. But just be very quick between the in running between the wickets. So at that time, even Delhi team thought that they had won the game, and then suddenly after lunch, that partnership started. I was batting for first 3 or 4 deliveries. Then I used to take a quick single. Sometimes they used to bring the field up for last couple of deliveries. Then I used to hit couple of fours. And then suddenly the pressure started shifting after an hour or so. And at the tea time, I think we were still 7 down. So we didn't lose a
Hmm.
wicket in the entire session. And then again, in the last session, we started building that partnership. And Joban Putra actually got out, and then Sandeep Manyar walked in. So there was a bit
Hmm.
of partnership with him as well. But in the end, because of the bad light, we ensured a draw.
That's a pro tip. Whenever you're playing in Delhi, match is never over because light can get bad anytime.
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
Puji,
Now we are.
we'll let you go soon. I just wanted to ask a few things now about life after retirement. Is there any particular hobby or something that you're really looking forward to? For example, I've decided that when I retire or if I'm ever granted a sabbatical, I'm going to maybe take singing classes and also learn to brew really good coffee. So do you have any plans like this that you've decided now that you've retired, you are looking forward to something in particular?
Well, I might learn a little bit of dance.
You
That's
did that
one
in
thing I've
Sydney,
been
though.
telling my that is one thing I've been telling my wife that I'm a bad dancer, and whenever I'm asked to dance, I can't dance. So that is something it's better that I learn a little bit of dance moves so that whenever I've been asked to dance, I can do a reasonable job. So that is one thing I've kept in mind. But apart from that, playing different sports, that is something I actually like a lot. So playing badminton, tennis. I want to learn pickleball as well. So try and engage myself in different sports whenever there's an opportunity there. Whenever there is some time, maybe on weekends, maybe once a week, twice a week. If I can do that, that is something which I'm looking forward to.
And FIFA doesn't qualify as a different sport.
No, it doesn't. That is fun. That also should be there. That will also be there. Maybe I don't know whether it will be on weekly basis. If I say once a week, then my wife and my daughter
No, no, no.
they'll be not happy. So it has to
Uh,
be maximum once a month.
and you're not able to shut down the outside noise when you're dancing. I mean,
I
dancing is
can't.
mostly about
No, no, I'm very
stopping
conscious.
wondering about what others are thinking.
No, 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 I'm very conscious that way, so I can't do that. I can only shut down the outside noise when I'm on a cricket field or when I
Hmm.
decide that I don't want to hear anything. But
Hmm.
when I'm dancing, I can't do that.
And
uh,
Uncle, Mr. Pujara, is he now more relaxed? Now he doesn't have to be anxious about watching you.
Yeah, he is. And also, last few years, I've been telling him that he has to focus on his health. And I told him that either you don't watch my game, but if you watch my game, then you can't be stressed. You can't be very intense about what's happening because it has been affecting his health. So yeah, he will be very relaxed now. He'll have a good time. And a good thing is I'll be able to spend a lot of time with him as well.
It has been as much his career as it has been yours.
Yeah, he has been involved in my cricketing journey since childhood. He's the one who started coaching me. He himself has played first class cricket for Saurashtra. So he has been very passionate about the game. And I'm very thankful to him that he has coached me since a younger age. But also, my mother has played a major role in who I am as a person. So I would also like to thank my mom for that.
Your meditation and your prayers, all those habits come from your mom, right?
Yeah, it does because she's the one who taught me that one is you have to be a good human being. Also, you need to follow a certain routine to be at peace in life, to be happy in life.
Hmm.
Also, in adverse situation, how you deal with the things which are not going your way, things which are not, I mean, the things which are not going the way you want because everything
Hmm.
can't go your way and how do you deal with that And also at the end of my cricketing journey, if I can detach myself from the game, not completely, but retirement is always a tough call. But when you're passionate about the game, and if you can still detach yourself, that is something which my mom has taught me, and which has helped me immensely. Because when you are retiring, you feel very, very emotional. You feel that something is taken out of you. But for me, I'm really happy that and grateful that I had a wonderful career, and to represent the nation is always a great honor. So when I'm retiring, actually, I'm retiring with a happy face, and that is something which my mother has taught me.
How far are you in tennis? Are you able to? What's your first serve percentage?
No, no, I'm not that great. I still have to lob myself, but I'm very good once I start playing.
Oh, ground strokes are
Ground strokes are
easier.
good. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
easier.
that is
And
But
easier
serve,
to ace.
do you
but
also go down the track and volley like you would, playing a
Oh,
spinner?
absolutely. You
yeah,
know,
but that is tough. That is tough. Actually, I'm more of I'm better off at the back rather than just
uh,
walking, running into the nets and then playing all those shots. Because also when I was actively playing cricket and I was still playing tennis, I was very careful that with the agility, I don't have to be also the shoulder. Yeah, serving.
hmm.
It puts a lot of pressure on your shoulder, so that's why I was not looking to develop that proper serve. So I was just lobbing the ball, but I'll get better at it as the time goes on.
I always volley. Firstly, because in congratulations that I've landed a serve, I just go for a volley. That's one reason. Second reason is my fitness. I can't play long points, so either it's it's either a winner or a.
Yeah,
or, uh,
yeah,
thanks a lot,
yeah,
Cheteshwar, for
Yeah,
joining us. We
pleasure.
have, yeah,
yeah, it's
and
been great having you, Puji. We'd love to do this again sometime. Maybe you can drop into this podcast whenever you want. Just feel
you have
free.
the link now.
Most of the topics that we talk about here, I'm sure you'll have something insightful to say.
Yeah,
So we'll send you a link the next time by doing this. And
Sure.
yeah, thanks to Sid and KK and for everybody watching it. This was a nice little surprise that we kept for you guys. We didn't mention Puji at the beginning of the podcast that you'll be joining. So this was just meant to be a surprise for everybody watching. So we hope you enjoyed it. And we'll catch you all again on the next episode of Rock and Roller.
TV umpire to director, we have a review. Can you rock and roll it for me, please?